Hello. As you can probably tell, it's been rather a while since I've done one of these. The main reason for that being that the last time I tried to do a video about Lupin the Third film, it got us a copyright strike. So in response to that, I thought I'd come back and do a three-part series about Lupin the Third theatrical features, because that can only end well. Starting with the rather awkwardly titled The Legend of the Gold of Babylon. Or Legend of the Gold of Babylon. That one. The one everybody hates. The film kicks off in the sea part of New York, where Lupin is on the trail of an ancient stone tablet said to reveal the whereabouts of the Tower of Babel. Unfortunately, he is caught between the Mafia on one hand and Zenigata on the other. Lupin's efforts are also hindered by Rosetta, an elderly alcoholic who spouts garbled clues about the treasure's whereabouts in between embarrassing declarations of love for him. This is the only theatrical film released during the third run of the Lupin anime series, the Pink Jacket season. Now, the Pink Jacket season has always had a really bad reputation in the West. Partly, I think this is because it used to only be available through a bootleg with incredibly bad subtitles, and also because it's extremely different from what went before it. It also skews a lot more towards silly comedy than the previous ones did. I know Red Jacket was pretty daft at times, but this one, way out there. I almost want to liken it to Looney Tunes, but I think that is giving it a level of sophistication that isn't really there. The film has been especially badly received even by the standards of Pink Jacket in general. I think in part this is due to it being attributed to Seijun Suzuki as director. Suzuki, a quite notable figure in Japanese live-action crime dramas, most notably turning in Branded to Kill and Tokyo Drifter in the late 60s. Although Suzuki's name is on the credits, I think his actual involvement with the film is probably pretty limited, as I have seen some of Suzuki's other work, and as far as I can tell, or at least I would guess, that there's only about maybe one shot in the entirety of Gold Babylon that really looks like it had Suzuki's hand behind it. Other than that, I think it was probably handled mainly by Shigetsugu Yoshida, who is credited as co-director. I suspect they probably brought Suzuki in possibly because he just needed a job at this stage. He was actually blacklisted for a long number of years, and also because it gave them a name to put on the poster, I guess. But the point I'm getting at is, if you came into this expecting something on the level of Branded to Kill, you would be fairly disappointed, as this is actually a pretty standard Lupin caper. Compared to the previous two films, the level of animation is noticeably lower. I don't know how popular the Pink Jacket anime was in Japan, but I suspect that by this stage the popularity of the Lupin anime was probably on the wane, and it would not surprise me at all if the budget for this one was significantly less than the films that came before it. That said, it is still completely competent. I mean, there are quite a few missed opportunities I felt with the film. The characterization is not especially good, and I felt that Rosetta particularly was kind of potentially quite a pitiable, kind of tragic character, and instead they just play her off as the butt of an awkward joke. But the action set pieces are mostly well handled, with the exception of the opening motorcycle chase, at least, because there's such a stunning lack of comic timing in that you would hardly believe it. But the music is also good. Yuji Ono was still involved with the film at this, well, with the Lupin franchise at this stage. He provides the theme tune for it, particularly Manhattan Joke, which I think is my favourite thing about the film. And there's also some kind of amusing comedy value with it for Zenigata, in that they put him in charge of this all-female Charlie's Angels style team of ICPO detectives, Unfortunately, the film never really makes enough of this. I felt there was quite a bit of comedy to be had from that, but they don't really go anywhere with it, which is a shame. I think my main problem with the film, though, is that originally the director for this one was set to be Mamoru Oshii, who turned up with the treatment for a Lupin film in which Lupin did not even turn up, which is very much what you would expect from Mamoru Oshii, I suppose. But you know, no matter what else you think about this film, it's never going to be as out there or as interesting, I think, as that idea would have been. Some ideas from that script apparently found their way into Kenji Kawayama's version of Cyborg 009 years later, but from what I've heard of that, it's not very good. I would still kind of recommend this film. It's not amazing, but despite what some people say, I think it's still a perfectly watchable, you know, competent entry into the franchise. It's not one that I would go to great lengths to acquire, but excuse me, but it has a few nice touches, and compared to the really incredibly neutered, incredibly broad TV specials that they've been churning out in recent years, this at least feels like they went out and made the film that they wanted to make. There is at least a feeling of intent here, and that, you know, it was probably an enjoyable thing to work on for them, and for that reason, I would say it's still worth checking out.